Our next speaker is Representative Kyle Biedermann. He was elected in 2016 and re-elected in 2018. State Representative Biedermann serves the citizens of District 73, which encompasses Comal, Gillespie, and Kendall counties. He has been a champion of individual liberties, the right to life, and ensuring the state of Texas is fiscally responsible. Representative Biedermann is adamant, God's calling, answer that. He's adamant about preserving the beautiful hill country and ensuring water issues in Texas are met with informed legislative action. He has been a consistent supporter of Kobe Prison Ministries, which had its birth in his hometown. When Kyle isn't serving the citizens of House District 73, you can find him at Biedermann's Ace Hardware in Fredericksburg, Texas. I got to drop by there now. He graduated from the University of South Florida with a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration. Representative Biedermann and his wife Barbie live in Fredericksburg and attend Oak Hills Church there. They have 7 daughters and 10 grandchildren. He will be speaking to us about legislation affecting incarcerated persons in Texas. So again, as he starts speaking, remember the questions you're going to have for him to ask him at the very end. Please, a big round of applause to Representative Kyle Biedermann. All right, God bless you.
God bless you too. Well, I don't know where that long introduction came from, but most of it was true. I have to tell you that. Most of it's true. But that's not even what I'm most proud of. I mean, when my wife Barbie, sitting right over here, when we were invited to come to Connolly Prison with Colby Ministry from some of the people I know in Fredericksburg, it was a scary time for us. We had never been. And we said, okay, we'll go. And once we committed, it was one of those things you really don't want to say no to. And so we drove down, and there was a huge change in the way I looked at prison and the way I looked at volunteers. I mean, look out here. I didn't think there was going to be this many people here. This is phenomenal. This is all about you all. This is amazing. And if you haven't volunteered or you're thinking about volunteering, I know as you look around, you see the people here, you see the joy on their faces. You see the life-changing ways of not only the people that are in prison and being ministered to in prison, but those that are ministering. It was a huge day for us. Marlon sitting over here, and Barb and I, he was one of the first people we met. The music, if you haven't been down there, the music is just unbelievable. And to be ministered to by the men is, again, something I didn't expect, and something that'll stay with us forever. I've actually got a letter here from Arnolfo, and those of you that know Arnolfo, up for parole in December. We need to be praying hard. We need to be praying hard. He's up in December. And again, being a legislator, I figured, okay, I better start learning about what can we do in the legislature to help out the situation in some of these prisons where these men and women are just not given a chance, where volunteers are being kicked out, especially volunteers that are Christian volunteers getting kicked out or not really allowing to be able to minister. And just all of the red tape and all of the power trip and egos that go on in administration, unfortunately. It's the same thing I have to deal with every day at the Capitol. Same thing. In fact, I feel like I'm in prison right now. I got my day pass. So right now, since the Democrats are in Washington, D.C., we have to show up every day. And so you show up, and there's called a call of the House. So just to let you know what's going on, when you don't have a quorum and you're trying to get a quorum, sometimes the only resort you have is to have a call on the House. So the Speaker will make the call of the House. The Sergeant of Arms, who is like our guards in the Capitol, they lock the doors. And then there's roll taken, and you cannot leave. You cannot leave until you get a pass, a permission slip from the Speaker and the parliamentarians. So that's what we've been under now for 2 weeks. And so yesterday, I was in session in the Capitol, and I knew I was going to come here today. Well, I was hoping they were going to let me come here today. So I went to the parliamentarians. I'm not the most popular there either because I stand up for the people. I don't stand up for the establishment, and I fight for what's right. And so asking for permission for me not to have to be there today. So I said, I'd like to get my pass, but can I come back on Sunday instead of Saturday? And I told them what I was doing, and they gave me the pass, which is nice. So they've been kind of flexible, but still, it is a strange situation right now. Now, we did have some legislation this last session. And TDCJ was under sunset. I don't know if you know what sunset is, but that's when we review agencies every 10 to 12 years. So they were under review, and there were some minor changes. Minor, nothing really great, but there were some minor changes in the department or in the agency. But there was one bill that we were really looking at strongly, and that was the second look bill. I'm sure most of you are familiar with that bill. The second look bill is where you have offenders under the age of 18 that committed crimes to actually get a second look, an earlier parole, an earlier opportunity, because of the fact that being so young, all we hear about is when you're under the age of even 21, your mind is not fully developed. And so we give all sorts of excuses for people that are under age 21 or under the age of 18, except in this case. And so the second look bill passed. It passed the House and the Senate strongly. But like all legislation, it has to come before the governor. And it was vetoed. So it was vetoed. I've actually have the letter here, the proclamation from the governor. And it just really, I don't know if it's true, but he says that it is something that conflicts with the jury instructions set in code. So it seems like we should be able to come back in special session and fix that problem. And so I don't know if it's going to be, but the governor is the one that puts everything on the call. So we're in special session. We can only legislate those things that the governor says he wants to put on the call. And this is not on yet, but we're going to have to go back for 2 more special sessions now. This one's wasted. We still have to, we'll come back right away to try to get what we're going to get done this session. And then we still have redistricting. And then we have a bunch of money coming from the federal government because of stimulus that the state of Texas really doesn't need to spend unwisely, but we could certainly use it for things that are very wise, like the border or property tax relief, things like that. So that's what we're hoping we're going to do. So we're going to come back and decide how to spend that money. But it would also be something good to maybe look at what Arnolfo is trying to do, especially in the county jails and other places, to be able to catch these or help these people that have caused crimes to be able to change their life so that they don't come out of county jail, then they just do it again. And of course, it becomes a situation that's going back and forth in jail and out of jail. So I really like what he's done. I'm going to be promoting that now with the chairman of that committee, now that he's got it pretty much set, because it came down to what is it going to cost, who's going to do it, all the things that really need, all the details. An idea is good, but you have to have the details. And this that he just sent me has got the details. And we're hoping to start right here in Bernie, because we have support from the district judge as well as the sheriff. Sheriff Oxier is a great, great man. And they are supportive. So if we can get this, moving, this would be something that would be fantastic. And then if we get Arnolfo out in December, he could be the one helping to head it up outside of prison. So that would be great. But other than that, as you know, when President Trump was in office, he had some criminal justice reform that was very good. And you can feel that that's the way that things are starting to move in the legislature. And so there are some things coming up. There was a lot of small bills this session, nothing major, but some small things. But that's how legislation works. Government works so slow. It works so slow. And so as long as you start having momentum, you know that you could start moving that direction. And that's what it feels like right now, that we're moving that direction and actually talking about things. I mean, here we are in the legislature. You would think that we talk about border security. You would think that we talk about school choice, maybe. You would think we talk about property tax relief. We don't. We don't even talk about it. So it's in the legislature and in government, something has to happen to start talking about it, and then it takes time to actually get something done. So we're already moving that direction with criminal justice, and we just hope that that continues. I would love to answer some questions, but before I do, I want to bring Juan DeLuna up here. Come on, Juan. So, yeah, give him a round of applause for sure. So I get a call about a month and a half ago from Larry Ray, and he says, Juan is looking for work. And he's living in Fredericksburg, where I live. And I just can't tell you how grateful I was that Larry called me. And I got in touch with Juan, and I'm just proud as can be of this man. It's to transition, I can't imagine, of coming from being in prison and then being free and then getting a job. I just can't imagine what it's like. We've been through a few things, a few phone calls, but I'm just really proud. Juan is doing an amazing job at this new job. I just wanted Juan just to tell you a little about what he's doing. And I gotta tell you, I'm just very proud of him. And again, what he's here now because of you people in the audience that have gone to visit, that have gone and ministered to these men and women in prison and given them the confidence that when they come out, they will not be alone. And so I want to introduce Juan DeLuna.
Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you, Pete. All the honor and glory goes, to our Lord and Savior, first and foremost, and secondly, I was like telling some of the volunteers that've been to the units that I've been on, it's pretty hard for us in there to grasp, that, hey, brother, I'm here for you. And, I love you guys and stuff like that, but people like y'all that keep coming back and even sending us JPEGs, which is a line or two, maybe, just how you doing, brother? That means so much to us, and it encourages us, and to me personally, I've had a problem with that before, I don't know, y'all are just saying that, y'all are feeling the moment, which is all right. But, when I see y'all and y'all did that, and now that I'm out and I still get all the love from the volunteers, it's just so amazing. I can't thank God enough every day for putting y'all in my life, and in my brothers behind bars in their lives, because there's plenty of us here, and plenty of us out that, that y'all have affected. And I thank y'all very much from the bottom of my heart, that God, keep blessing y'all to be able to do what you do. And I appreciate y'all, and to my job that, I was blessed with. Like right now, I'm supposed to be working, but we have a.
Wait. He got a permission slip from me.
I got a permission slip. I also got a permission slip today too. Yeah, where I work at, we hold events and festivals and stuff like that, where we have polo matches, hot air balloon rides, helicopters, and like right now we have tequila, tacos, and cerveza festival. So it's in Bankersmith, Texas, right out of Fredericksburg. But we have 6,000 plus people over there, that I'm supposed to be helping attend, and I take care of the property and set up everything and take care of animals. We have some exotics out there that, and people can come over there and just relax. You can wear your flip-flops out there and chill. You ain't got to, we got music all day and stuff, and I help set up all that stuff and, like I said, manage everything. So, and I've been blessed. Like I said, we've had a couple of hiccups, but, thank the good Lord, we get past all that, and here we are today. So I thank y'all very much again. Appreciate y'all.
Here a second. So Juan said, well, I don't want to go up and say anything. I have nothing to say. And he has a lot more to say. In fact, people think that he's kind of like the manager out there because he's always selling it. You can see he's selling. He's very happy where it is. And we're just blessed to have him. But again, this is all about, it's all about God and God's grace and God's love and God's mercy for each one of us, no matter who we are. We're all his children. And even though we see things happening in this world and the politics and everywhere else, those people without hope are the ones that are so worried and so concerned. Now, I definitely do not like what I see, but without hope, then there is no way to change things. So that's why we have to keep hope. And again, it's all about God and his son. And I'd be happy to take questions about anything you'd like to ask me if you'd like. You can just raise your hand and I'll take a question. One of the things also that it looks like we're going to be working on this session is a number of bills that we didn't pass last session. And I was sitting at the table over here just talking about the fact that our world, our country, our state, and our government is becoming so much less godly and moral. And so the battles that we are facing right now, the battles that we're facing, especially in the legislature, we are dealing with ungodly, immoral lifestyles and other things that we are supposed to be supporting. And if we're not, then we're wrong. The world, the worldview of people that put God first is just declining rapidly. And because of that, it reflects in everything in our society. You know, social media, of course, TV, movies, but also in our governments and the bills that that come up for us. It's happening in the military. How unfortunate is that our military is caving into these things. But what you find out now is it's not going to be government that's going to save this country. It's going to be individuals. And by standing up and making your voice heard and not being afraid, having courage, have courage. It's amazing how many people truly believe what you do, even if you never hear it, or even if you think they might be a different way. They're just waiting for the confidence to be able to stand up themselves, because it's hard to go against the flow. It's hard to go against what's popular. It's hard to go against people in your business or in your company or in your school or in your group of people that you spend time with. It's hard to go against what's popular and the political correctness that we have. Again, there's only one political correctness that's right, and that's God's word. And that's what makes it easy for me when I'm at the legislature. Is this go against God's word? Well, that's a real easy one to just say no to. I mean, very easy. But we have to do that in our own lives too. And so if I'll be around for a little bit, I've got to get Juan back by 3:00 to Bankersmith. Oh, we do? Okay. Where are we? Okay. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Representative Biedermann. We've gotten quite a few calls, so you're going to be there for a sec.
Okay.
Is any of this legislation that you're referring to speak to whether or not the state is considering cooling systems for these prisons? Because they're like ovens in the summer and refrigerators in the winter, and we really have that as a concern.
Yes, in fact, that came up. So I've been there for 3 sessions. It came up that I know of last session for sure. And I guess it just didn't get out of committee. came up against this session. And I really thought it was going to get through. You could kind of feel, just like Second Look has come up before or similar, and it didn't even get out of committee. Well, Second Look passed both the House and the Senate very strongly. So the cooling systems and so forth in the prisons is the same thing. It takes a few sessions. And yes, it's been talked about. And if it didn't get through this time, I don't see how it won't next time, to tell you the truth. But we'll just have to wait and pray for that.
Two more.
Okay.
And invite the audience, please come in, ask your questions. We're just getting them off the computer. Regarding that, what is the priority of all of the legislation that's pending or trying to get through committee? And how does that work internally to elevate something that might be of greater concern than some other issue?
Wait, I'm sorry. Say the beginning part again.
How do you prioritize the legislation that you're pushing through?
Oh, well, legislation, well, everything is prioritized by leadership. So the governor, speaker for the House of Representatives, and lieutenant governor for the Senate. That's where the prioritized bills and legislation come from. Sometimes it's actually prioritized before session. And you know what's going to be prioritized and what you're working on. And that's why criminal justice has become more of a hot topic, because it's been prioritized, especially, as I said, through the federal government with President Trump bringing some legislation through that had been difficult to get through. But that's really where it comes through. We also, in the Republican Party, we have the Republican Party of Texas, and we have 8 priorities in our platform. And those priorities are also supposed to be given higher preferential treatment in the legislature. But to tell you the truth, it is basically all prioritized by the governor and leadership in the legislature. Now, I don't know if that helps you. If there's something that individuals really want to have, then it takes a legislator to work as hard as they can to try to get interest of others. And that's, but usually the prioritized items are done by leadership, and that's what goes.
Representative Biedermann.
Yes.
I don't know if you're familiar, but one of the units, the Briscoe unit in Dilley, is being set up to house immigrants. And they had to pass the Texas Commission on Jail Standards, and that requires that 2 of the dorms will have portable generators so they can pipe in air conditioning. So, but we have 200 inmates that are in other dorms that are not in air conditioning, but the jail standards says they have to. So we have a real double standard there.
So why did it, I mean, again, I know about this. We're totally against it, but I can't understand why they would be, the jail standards would be okay for illegal immigrants or illegals to be here and not being taken care of our own citizens.
Amen.
But just so you know, that store, and again, that facility right now is starting to take illegals.
Yeah.
And so this is something that's happening right now. We're talking about it. We have no quorum. We have no way to do anything. And again, that would be something that would come directly from leadership. Do they want to do something about this? I actually have, I'm trying to put, so we talk about priorities again. So a priority for me, and for, I would think most of the people in the state of Texas, is going to be border security. But why are we not designating the cartels as a terrorist organization? With all of the crimes and the murders and the trafficking and everything that they're doing, if we designate them as a terrorist organization, we have so many more tools to use against them. So I'm putting out legislation actually next week for that. So if I put the legislation out, and since it is on the call, so border security is on the call, but I don't know what, I mean, I can't tell you what Governor Abbott wants to do because he really hasn't done much about it except put it on the call. So we're trying to put pressure. Here's specifics. Now answer yes or no. Same thing can happen with the with the fact that they're giving air conditioning to illegals.
Yeah. Another quick comment is that I know in the past, the legislature has discussed oversight for TDCJ, but it keeps getting turned down. What's the possibility of that happening in the future?
Now, what do you mean by oversight?
Well, they wanted to establish an oversight committee so that someone would be looking at TDC, because we all know as volunteers, a lot of the issues that go on in the prisons.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I've got right here a list of the Sunset Commission recommendations that were approved. And I would have to kind of look through a little bit because they want to, what they've got here is strengthen TDCJ's use of data to improve jail operations and transparency. So requires TDCJ to regularly analyze data collected during inspections or reported by jails to identify trends in noncompliance, serious incidents, and other jail operations, analyze complaints. So they're trying to have them give the data so it can be analyzed instead of another organization or group overseeing. Give us all the data. And that will show that there's problems so that we can do something about it. But here's what happens in government. Every agency, and again, when I was introduced, I do a lot of work with water, because in the Hill Country, we have definitely have a problem with water and how much water we're gonna have in the future. But we have that all over Texas too. So we'll go to TCEQ, who is the agency in charge, basically the EPA of Texas. And when you question them, so say they came into a committee, so we have oversight over them, my committee, if I was on that committee, which I'm not, but natural resources. So they'll come before natural resources, and natural resource has authority over them, oversight, and they'll say, how are you doing? Oh, we're doing a great job. Oh my gosh, we've got everything taken care of. We've got a 50-year water plan. We have all the water we need. So just don't worry about it. We got everything under control. That's oversight in the legislature. That's not what we want. We want facts, and we want the data, and we want transparency, and then we can go after the real problems.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, sir. You
Yes.
able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, turn it up. Okay, gotcha. So as I'm sure you know, the Republican Party has probably come under quite a bit of scrutiny, I guess, recently for voting rights and recent legislator. Kind of speaking in the context of Colby Ministries and outreach to prisoners and ex-convicts, what are your thoughts on expanding suffrage for ex-convicts in order to kind of push back against claims of suppression of voting rights?
Okay, well, again, I'm not exactly clear what you're saying on that. Are you saying that there's a suppression of voter rights for ex-convicts? Is that what you're saying, or?
No, sir. I'm saying generally, I guess in the media, there's this narrative that Republicans with this.
Right, with our bill, they're trying to say that we're trying to suppress the votes and all those kind of things. And in fact, they're finding out, well, here's a great example. So those that are complaining about suppression, this bill being suppression of voting rights, they go to Washington, D.C., and the national media is ripping them apart, saying, where is it? Where's the suppression? And they really can't find it except that we're not going to allow you to vote 24 hours a day. That's voter suppression. They can't find where there is any voter suppression. That's what's been, but the press and the national press is stronger, or they will tell more of the truth than the Texas press will. That's what's interesting. You look at Beto O'Rourke, he was a darling of Texas, and he almost beat Ted Cruz. And of course, he did a great job. The guy did an amazing job. He's not my party, but he did a great job. And he carried the state for a lot of Democrats. All power to him. But he goes to the national press then because he wants to run for president. Look what happened. All the things that should have been said here in Texas about Second Amendment rights and all the things that, whether you're for it or not, it should have at least been truthful. In Texas, it wasn't truthful. He gets to the national press and they they expose. Well, they're exposing right now about this bill, which has nothing to do with voter suppression.
I guess my question was like, what are your thoughts on expanding ex-convict suffrage in order to, I guess, get them?
Well, my
voting
personal
rights?
belief on that is once you pay your time and parole, if necessary, you should be able to vote. But what the Democrats want, they want you to be able to vote while you're in jail. And I just don't know if that's right because voting is a right that we have, but there's also needs to be you need to if you're going to be breaking laws and you're going to be in jail, you need to be able to pay your time, but you need to be brought right back into society. And that's the problem. When you don't start bringing people back into society and accepting them in, that's what causes a lot of problems.
I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think the only, you might have addressed this in your response a minute ago, but in that Sunset Commission, can you identify any changes to the parole division?
I was looking at it. See, there's so many little things. Let me just see. I don't see necessarily, and I didn't write them all down. I just put some of the highlights down. I would have to look into that more.
Okay. And the best way to communicate with you when we have issues that we think need to be brought before the legislature would be through your website?
Website, and on my website, you've got an email address. And if anybody wants my cell number, you're welcome to my cell number. You can text me, which is actually the easiest way, or get it from Larry Ray. He texts me all the time. And I appreciate it. I
have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a business owner. My biggest question for my employees when they come out, and I do hire, is the biggest problem they have is trying to rent. How can we get them back to rent a place to live?
Because of the cost?
No, because they're ex-offenders.
Oh, because they're
Look,
ex-offenders.
they're denied. See, come on, they're trying to make a living and they're trying to find a place to live.
Well, they're also trying to find a job and you're hiring them. I'm hiring them.
I mean, I do hire them, but I do take bonds out on them, and I do watch them very closely.
Well, that's what these people that own apartments, they do the same thing.
No, they don't. This poor guy right here just said he got denied 10 times.
No, I understand. I'm just saying they need to be doing what you and I are doing. How do you force that? I don't know if that's government that can force that. This is private businesses and private ownership. But what has to happen is we need to have some of these legislators go visit. These legislators have no idea what the men and women in incarceration are like. They have no idea what it takes to go through the system and come out. But also, if they would understand that these are, again, children of God, we're no better than anybody else. But the fact is the people making the decision are out of touch or have not really been at the forefront of what they're making legislation on. I just don't know what the answer would be. I don't know how the state of Texas could demand somebody to rent to somebody, but I really feel that it's unfair, obviously, but I'm not sure if I have an answer for that. But you know what that means? That means more volunteers that know more people, that know people that have apartments, and then you can try to encourage them to rent to people. I mean, that's how I see is the best way.
I think that's good. Thank you.
I mean, if before you leave, I would be happy for a suggestion. So if you give me a suggestion what you think we should do, I will certainly consider it. I know there's a problem, but I don't know what the suggestion is. Seriously, this would be a great time to say, hey, Kyle, here's an idea.
Thank Thank you.
Seriously. Or come and talk to me right after this, okay? If you have a suggestion on what you think we might be able to do, anybody, please let me know. Because if you think about it, if you've got a bill and you have a suggestion on a bill, how would you write it? What would it say? Who are you going to force? You know, an idea is great, but to put in a bill form is very difficult. Go ahead.
Hi, yes, I have an idea. I guess in a way it's a long shot. If God wants it done, it'll be done. I spent 30 years in the state prison system. November 2015, I was released and I went to a halfway house. State halfway houses, I've never been there, but they're very corrupt. Very, very corrupt from what I've heard, state. So, but this halfway house that I went to, Isaiah House in Houston, it was I mean, yeah.
It was amazing.
I'm at a loss of words as far as what it did for me. Okay, it's privately funded, Catholics. It accepts Catholics. You don't have to be Catholic to be accepted. So there's two halfway houses there, privately funded, and so that would be an idea. Again, it's private.
See, and that's not government.
The government, yeah, the government in a situation like that, I agree with you. But yeah, the halfway house, privately funded. I mean, it's most communities, of course, don't want halfway houses. San Antonio doesn't want a halfway house. State prisoners coming out. So that's the legislature's job. Push these people, these cities to, hey, try to get something done here, for these people coming out of prison, because I mean, I spent 30 years, but eventually I came out, right? And everybody's coming out. Most people are coming out. And the other thing, of course, I want to add for you also, as far as, because someone asked about parole. There's over 100 men now in prison, state prison, who have been there 35, 40 years, right? Society is vengeful, and that's just the way it is, right? But they're releasing people, they're releasing people, and some people they're not releasing. It's arbitrary. These people are 65, 70 years old in prison, been there all those years. Let those people out. It will save taxpayers millions of dollars, because these people are elderly, they're being taken care of. And the other thing, finally, is education. I was glad the opportunities. I got my bachelor's degree and my master's degree while in prison, right? And that helped with my job, coming out, get my job. So I work now for Watts Guerra. But Rep, I just want to say the education is very important. Okay, so keep the education for the prisoners, especially the bachelor's program. The master's program is paid privately, privately funded. University of Houston at Clear Lake is privately funded, but you have to have a certain GPA to get your to go, to get the grant. So, but yes, education big. It was big in my life. And again, the number one thing in prison for me was the volunteers. Okay, Father Jerry, he went visited for 25 years in the prison. Mike Latino, Deacon Ed, Stasel, all these guys. That's why I'm here now.
Well, about education real quick, and thank you for your words. HB 3606 was passed this session. Requires TDCJ to provide vocational training on a volunteer basis for inmates. So now we are making them, requiring them. Now, the inmate doesn't have to, but we're requiring vocational training to all inmates. That was a bill that passed this session.
I want to answer some of that question about housing and where to put people. I'm Alvin Lovelady. I'm the director for correctional ministry in the Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston. The Isaiah House and the several other halfway houses are in our diocese. If you don't have any other source to reach out to help house the men and women that are coming out of prison, reach out to our office. If any of my brothers that are in here that are directors of correctional ministry are involved, and sisters too, in correctional ministry in the diocesan level, if you don't have programs, then get them, because that's the only way right now that we can help these people. I have people that work for me and all they do is make sure that those that are coming out have housing. The lepers of the lepers are the SOs, and we have the hardest time finding housing for them, but we're doing it. There are people out there that will house them. Some of them have learned that they can rip them off by charging more money than they should be for housing. They're double and triple and quadruple stacking these men in housing, in apartments, but at least we're getting them off the street and in a house until we can get them a job and get them working. So find out who's running your correctional ministries in your diocese, get with them. They will connect you with people that will help your ex-offenders find a house, find a job. If they're not, call me. I'll help you find somebody that can do that.
Thank you. Thank you. One more thing on housing. I just found another bill that we passed. Again, there's so many bills. HB 954. So HB 954. And that one is compliance documentation requirement for alternative housing facilities for parolees. This was in Houston only to start with. So there is a requirement now for alternative housing for parolees. So again, we're starting on some of these things. It's hard to pass a bill for the whole state. But in Houston, we started there to do a pilot program. There's also another pilot program for education. And this pilot program, HB 2352, HB House Bill 2352, Educational and Vocational Training Pilot Program for Felony Defendants and those on parole. So what that means is when we do a pilot program, that means we're trying to find out what will work. You pass a bill, you don't know if it's going to work, especially something like this. So we do a pilot program, we test it, and if it works, then it becomes law, hopefully the next session. So we are working on the educational part, which I know is so necessary.
Just real quick,
Yes.
if you've hired offenders before, you know that you get a tax break for hiring such offenders. Why not make a tax break for the people that rent to those offenders for 1 year? Because that would give them the incentive to do so.
That's a great idea. I didn't even know there was a tax break for hiring. I never took advantage of it. But I think that's an excellent idea for the housing side of it. Now I know, that's all right. I don't do it for a tax break. But some people may. And there may be large companies that, don't have that personal relationship with whoever they hire. So I agree. But I like that idea for housing. Because you know what? Now it's still voluntary, but the state it's going to be more expensive to the state if we don't bring these offenders back into society. You make it difficult for them, then there could be more problems and more expense to the state. So I like that idea tremendously. Thank you.
May I? Okay. Hi, my name is Jose Leal. I'm one of those lepers of the lepers. And I was in TDC for over 6 years. Over a year of that was waiting to get out because I didn't have a place to go to. Mm-hmm. And when I did get out, they paroled me to, guess what, Bexar County Work Release Program. So I got out of prison and I went to jail. And when I got to Bexar County, they shackled me, they handcuffed me, they took me down and they booked me. And I just got out of prison. That's what I got out to. So yes, and then when I did find an apartment, it was filthy, right? The guy charged me a $600 non-refundable deposit to move in. It was full of mold and dust. And so yes, there is a need for that. And I just wanted to share a little bit about my experience getting out. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay, to close, do you see how easy it is to talk to a state representative, or it should be. See how easy it is? We have legislation that's going to come out right now from this meeting because you gave me the idea. We need the ideas. We don't always have, we're not as smart as you guys and everything. I tell you, we're just not that smart. Mostly, we're not that motivated in certain issues. But thank you very much. Again, I am going to put that bill forward, but that's what we need from you, ideas. And you have someone right here that's not afraid to put it forward. God bless you, and thank you for letting me speak.
Representative Kyle Biedermann, folks, clap loud for this guy. Way to go. And keep him in your prayers.